This is Dan Wallace, and I know that John talked about him, and Luke did. His father was a firefighter who died in the World Trade Center. And I never met Dan in person, but we were friends online. And when I was starting to get the idea for this campaign, for the 11th day of every month campaign, I was talking to him, and when I wrote up the call to action, which I issued in January, I shared it with him. And Dan was really happy about the idea. He was really excited about it. And he ended up dying about a week before we did the first 11th of the month actions. Actually in the end of January, so about a week and a half, 2 weeks before. And this campaign is pretty much dedicated to Dan Wallace. So aside from all the other reasons that we keep doing it, we're going to keep doing it for Dan. We started, I issued the call in January, and then we started doing the monthly actions in February 11th, 2007. Oops. Let me see if I can get back to that. That was my sign for our first action, February 11th. That's a picture from San Francisco, and we had actions in 3 cities the first month. 3 locations decided to join us when, oops. Let's stop there. That's from a memorial for Dan that took place actually after. That's Luke Rudowski and Dylan Avery who made Loose Change, and that's the first 11th action in New York City on February 11th, 2007. And then that night they had a memorial for Dan Wallace. And it did start picking up steam. This is from March 2007. It started spreading around. We had 3 locations the first month. The second month we had 12 cities, and then there was 30 plus the third month. And it actually went international the third month. Sydney, Australia was the first international location to join the campaign. Followed about 18 hours later by the folks in Ottawa, Canada. So we got joined by 2 international locations in the third month. And the actions just started spreading around. In May or April, actually, right after we started, I think it was April or May, I started doing a radio show called Truth Revolution Radio, and that provided a great platform to talk to activists. It was a strictly activist radio show. So we talked to people who were doing the 11th actions, worked to inspire people to join us. And this is a picture of me talking to Manny Badillo, who lost his uncle on 9/11 as well. That's a picture from we're broadcasting from New York City on the 6th anniversary of 9/11, I believe. In May of that year on the radio show, I asked everyone to demonstrate outside media headquarters. You know, we're so censored, so blacked out. Why don't we just take the message of 9/11 truth to the media? Local media, corporate media, what have you, whatever it is, go take 9/11 truth outside. And let them know about it. Since they're not coming to us, since they don't want to report to us, let's take it to them. And the idea really caught on, and a lot of people did that. And it had a lot of success, and people are still doing that with varying degrees of success. You know, most of the corporate media is ignoring us, but it's funny, we did get some coverage as soon as we started doing it. I mean, I think the first month that we called for people to do that, there were like 3 pieces that were done. Where corporate media, they came out and reported on the people who were demonstrating outside their headquarters. So I've got a bunch of pictures here. For instance, they got a piece, a real puff piece too. It's just like, 9/11 truth activists are outside our place demonstrating, da-da-da-da-da. Not really talking too much about what it's about, but giving some exposure to it. That's in Calgary, Canada. That's ABC News in San Francisco Chronicle. I don't have the one actually that did it. We went around the corner from ABC. We went to, I think it was NBC, and we were sort of yelling up at them outside on the street, and they came down and did an interview with me. And they actually did more than a puff piece. They did a fairly balanced piece, but I made a big point of hammering home the family members situation, and, as well as Building 7. And they actually, in the middle of the piece, they put a little film of the clip of Building 7 going down. So that was a great tactic, and we actually, we got probably, at least tens of thousands of people probably saw Building 7 for the first time due to that clip. That's Austin, Texas, Fox News. That's somewhere in Texas too. Colorado, BBC in London. And also in May 2007, this is ABC News in LA. This guy came out for the first time, a United States Marine. He came out to join the folks in LA to demonstrate outside the ABC headquarters. His name's Johnny Leifer, and as you can see, he decided to come out in full Marine dress and demonstrate with us. And he really inspired a lot of people who were just blown away when they saw the picture of this guy standing out there demonstrating. And I did my best to get in touch with him, hooked up with him right away, got him on the radio show, talked to him about what it was like being a Marine, about knowing this stuff, the risk he was taking, getting out there. Of course, he had finished his active duty. He was a ready reserve at this point, but still faced, it was. In fact, he did ultimately. He was called before. He had an inquiry in the Marines, because of what was happening. So people on a right-wing site, I think it was Michelle Malkins, spotted him out at an action and started posting photos of him, and I think stirring up trouble. But it's really interesting, and this didn't get a lot of coverage, but who would cover it? I think I mentioned it to a couple of people. But he basically faced down this inquiry. You're not supposed to be taking any political actions as a Marine. And he basically told them it wasn't a political action, that he had taken an oath to defend the Constitution in the United States, and that there was evidence of explosives found at the World Trade Center, and so he was doing his duty. And basically he told them that, and they didn't want to pursue it any further. All right. This is Andrew, this is Andrew in Iraq. He was a Marine as well, and he participated in our local actions in San Francisco. And so after I started talking to Johnny, I thought, wow, I should get him together with Andrew. And maybe we could start Marines for 9/11 Truth, which is what happened. I got the two of them together on Truth Revolution Radio. That's Andrew with his son. That's the Federal Building in San Francisco. And so they got together, shared their experiences, and formed Marines for 9/11 Truth. I don't know if any more Marines ever joined, but they did inspire a lot of people with their willingness to speak out and address this issue. So the campaigns just started going international. As you can see, this is London, and that's London as well. Continuing to spread around the world to France. Here they are in Paris, holding up a photograph of Johnny Leifer from the month before. I think this was in June or July 2007. So they were so inspired by seeing Johnny getting out that they got out and joined us too. And that's kind of like the idea of truthaction.org, was to show the actions as much as possible and encourage more people to get involved. Berlin, Sweden, Stockholm. This is Cardiff, Wales. 11th of the month action in Cardiff, Wales. That's We Are Change Wales. This guy's in Barcelona doing actions out on the street all by himself. He's got his backpack. He's got his